Oh, sweet. We have a person from Airmeet with us right now.
Yeah, they're called
20 minutes ago.
yeah, they've been here the whole time. They're really determined to make sure we're successful, which is nice. Okay, cool. So, we are live. It looks like I'm getting word from the studio. We're live. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to session 2 of our second edition featured artist Q&As. My name is Samantha, and I'll be the host for tonight. Just to give everyone an idea of how tonight will run, the first 30 or so minutes, I'll be asking the featured artists some questions. And then we will open up the conversation to questions from the audience. So if you have a question you'd like to ask any of our guests tonight, feel free to enter them into the chat at any time. And any of you guys joining us on Airmeet, you can also raise your hand. There's a little button that says raise your hand that will allow you to talk to our guests directly. So if you have a question for them, just let us know. We'll get there towards the end. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our guests for tonight. So first we have Angelica Williams, who specializes in practical clay sculptures. When it comes to film sets, you'll usually find her working in the camera department as an assistant camera. In 2020, she graduated from UNLV and started a brand for her art called Earth Honey Art. And also, I'm wearing an Earth Honey Art original, not to brag or anything, but just so you guys know. Although her focus is mainly on clay art right now, Angie is still involved in the film community. She films live performances, commercials, music videos, and works on productions as an assistant. Angelica's purpose in life, whether it be art or film, is simply to create. So I'm very happy to have you here, Angie. Thank you for being here. So next we have Sharlene Guevarra. And she wears many hats. She is a costume designer, set designer, production designer, and art director. So working with local fashion brands as a stylist and visual merchandiser is what sparked her interest in wardrobe for film. She's completed a fashion and design program and hopes to expand her knowledge in design and set styling in the future. Right now, Sharlene works as a social media coordinator, content creator, and teaches fashion courses to children throughout school. So thank you for being here, Sharlene. Nice to see you.
Yeah, so happy to be here.
And then, last but not least, we have director/cinematographer Blake Gilmore with us. He also works as a production coordinator on TV shows such as 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, and Marrying Millions. Locally, Blake has worked as a cinematographer and gaffer on dozens of shorts, music videos, commercials, and feature films. He is a co-founder of the local production company Studio Studios. This year, Blake received a Student Pacific Southwest Emmy for student cinematography on the short film Reflection. And today, Blake has premiered his music video, Doom, for the Las Vegas-based rock band called Under. And on top of all of that, he also hosts 2 podcasts, one called Video Game Sexy and the other called Dinner with a Movie. So thank you, Blake, for being here. Amongst your very busy schedule.
Oh, thank you for having me. No, it sounds much more impressive than it actually is, but I appreciate it.
Well, you guys are all very impressive. That's why you're here today. I'm so happy to be able to talk to you guys. But before we jump into our questions, I'd like to have a little video play of your guys' work. So here it comes. All right. Yay! You guys are so talented. Cool. So that was a sample of a little bit of each of their work, their websites and such. And so let's get started with a question for all three of you guys. So whoever wants to go first. So just a little context for everyone. All of us have gone to UNLV through the film program. I was lucky enough to go to school with all of you guys, which was a lot of fun. And so I was wondering, what is a piece of advice that you wish someone would have given you during film school?
Ooh. I think I was given a lot. I think UNLV had a lot of good people giving a lot of good advice, and I would say the one piece that I kind of came up with isn't exactly something that was never told to me. I just wish it was hammered in my head a little bit more. I heard a lot from people saying that no one has the same exact path to success. No one has the same exact path to, wherever they want to go, whether it's LA or New York or whether it's just starting a YouTube channel with stuff that you want to make. It's hard to compare yourself in that way, but right from the start, when I first was making my first short film, I was looking at all like the indie shorts and stuff that were getting into festivals and things, and I'm like, okay, I need to make something that's meaningful. I need to make something that's like important and like says something, and I didn't think like I need to make something that I like really want to make. It was really just like I need to make something that's impressive. And when you're like that circle shape trying to fit into the square shape, it just doesn't work, and then you end up misshaping yourself and your vision, and then at the end you'll end up not like, people will see it and they'll be like, cool, awesome, great job, but you'll look at it and you'll be kind of embarrassed in a way, thinking like, this isn't me, this isn't really what I want to do. Because I had a first short film that I made, it was very like trying to be important. It was like trying to be, oh man, this screenwriter is like the most intense screenwriter ever, and then it turns out my premise was basically Eternal Sunshine, and I hadn't seen it yet, so I was like, oh my god.
Oh no.
And the next movie I made was about a haunted poop that killed everyone in a house, and it's like, that was my short. It's dumb, but that was my short. And like, if someone had looked at me at that first script and said like, this is not you, like this is someone else's script, this is not what you want to make, you want to make a poop short, and then I was like, yeah, that's it. That's what I think I wish someone would told me, is no matter how fucking crazy your idea is, or no matter how nuts what you want to do is, that 100 times is going to be better for you as like a person than what you think people will want to see. And yeah, I think that would be a good one.
Yeah. Anyone want to try and top that?
No, like, I feel like I really do agree with that. And I think a piece of advice that I really wish I would have given myself, or anyone starting off in film school, is to not be afraid to really explore all avenues of film. I think people go into film kind of with an idea of what they want to do, whether it's like directing or screenwriting, but it could be kind of easy to sort of like trap yourself in a box, especially when you're taking classes of things that you enjoy. But I really would just, if I could, encourage people to like put themselves out there and maybe try something that you never thought you would have, because there are other parts of film that I really wish that I got to delve into. But I'm super passionate about design and production design and costume design, but I really did want to try out cinematography. But since I was always doing like production work, that time just kind of went by so fast. Like 4 years flew by like super fast. So that's something that I probably would have wanted to like tell myself, looking back at it, film school now.
Oh yeah, because like not only are you so scared, because I think a lot of people go into this a little late, where they're not exactly, because I started wanting to be a math teacher when I first went to school, and then 2 years later I came down from Reno to Vegas, and already you're like, I'm getting a late start. Like, I need to pick one thing that I want to do, and that one thing is film. And then when you get it and realize there's 20 different things, like at minimum the base that you can do, you're like, oh my god, like I need to pick one of these. But really, it's hard to understand that finding, like, just dabbing a little bit in all of those is really what in the end you'll be better off, because you might be 10 years down the line and realize, I hate holding the camera, maybe I should have gone into sound, or I hate sound, maybe I should have gone into writing or something. So yeah, totally agree with that.
Right, and I feel like that just sort of gives you some sort of appreciation for like every job on set, kind of like dabbling into all sorts of aspects of filmmaking. Really gives you that appreciation for, you know, the people who are PAs or people behind the camera. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Definitely.
Yes, I agree with both of you guys. I think that the advice that I would have given myself is to just create, to like create as much as you can, and to work with as many different people as you can, because film school is full of so many different creative people, and I feel like I should have worked with a lot more people than I did, and I should have made a lot more things than I did. So
Yeah, I completely agree.
I mean, I feel like we're all kind of in similar boats, kind of all graduated around the same time, had similar experiences. So it's really cool to get to talk to you guys about this kind of stuff. Would you recommend going to film school?
Depends what kind of person you are, I think. Yeah.
And what kind of person do you think of yourself?
Someone who's like me, I'd say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who, I've always felt like I need that push. I've always felt like I need a reason to do something. Like, I never would have had. I'm a very shy person when it comes to having to meet someone and go into a new group. So being in a class with someone automatically breaks that barrier and makes it so much easier. So if someone is like me and can't really do that, or doesn't have the exact know-how to just go on the internet, find groups of people, go hang out and like make films, school is a very good way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was gonna say yes because of it forces you to collaborate with people. And I feel like Blake said, I'm not the type of person who would do that on my own outside of school.
Yeah, I also agree with Blake and Angie, because when I started film school, I was really, really shy, and I really didn't know how to put myself out there. So being in classes where we had certain projects to do and deadlines to me actually really helped me in terms of disciplining myself and like trying to work on time management with certain projects, and also working with like different people on set. And I feel like the connections that you do make in film school are super valuable, because college, I feel like personally, is a really critical time period, just being in your early 20s, mid 20s, or even late 20s. It's like this space for exploration, and I feel like the people that you go through with that really changes things, and you find out who you enjoy working with, and then that could grow into other things for your future. So I feel like film school really does open that outlet for artists and for filmmakers wanting to work on things and create.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, one of Blake's sets was one of the first sets I ever worked on. So thank you, Blake, for being one of the first people I ever worked with.
Was that an advanced directing scene, or was that when you see it?
You know it when you see it.
Right,
like
right.
The first thing I worked on.
What a set to have as your first one.
Yep. Yeah.
For anyone who hasn't seen it, it's basically a parody compilation of porn videos. So we just wrote a bunch of parody scripts. So yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Yep. So that was my start into the film world. So thank you, Blake, for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So we've been talking a lot about film school, but none of you guys really are. Okay, how do I want to say this? Would you consider film to be your full-time job right now?
No.
No.
All right. Cool. Just had to put that out there. Which is kind of which is why we wanted to talk to you, all of you guys together, because you're all on such different paths and doing such different things with your artistry, which is really cool. Even though we all kind of came from the same film program and everything, but you're all on different paths, but still artistic ones. So, like, how do you balance your day job and your artistic passion?
I feel that I'm in a position right now where I was able to sort of blend that. Although it's not entirely film, having a job where you can express yourself creatively and having that freedom is just as gratifying for me right now, and it's working in terms of like getting paid. Although it's not entirely film, I still feel like film has helped in terms of like with what I do on a daily basis, because I do like edit little videos. I do still a lot of designing, but just with graphics now. Whether that's like in my social media job now or even like teaching, I create a lot of my own like content to teach. So I feel like a lot of the things that I have learned from film school, I do apply just in a different way. And I know that can kind of get like muddled at times, like when there is like pay involved. It's kind of like you have your passions and then like your work. But I feel like, you know, it's like in order to like live and like be able to like do things that you want, you have to get paid somehow. So I feel like just finding that balance and making sure that I still have time for my passions and making sure I have that like work-life balance is like super important, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly something that I'm still working on and trying to figure out right now. It's really difficult when there's a quarantine and everyone's losing their jobs and you don't know when you're going to get your next paycheck, and like being an artist, like making money through art is unpredictable, and it's really hard to balance.
Yeah, I clean pools for my day-to-day job, and it's a blast. I love it. I genuinely love it. I was coming off of, I made this decision consciously before the pandemic started. It was like literally the week before we had gone into lockdown. I had gotten onboarded to the company I work with, and I had just kind of turned down all of the production coordinating jobs I was getting from 90 Day Fiancé because it sucked. I fucking hated it. It was like busting your butt over making sure that the 90 Day Fiancé cast gets the right shirt. Like, if that's your thing, fantastic, but not for me. And just coordinating all of that was just stressful. I was taking up all my time. It was just not good. And it's I feel like every artist has that realization, kind of where the art becomes a job, and that job becomes not what you set out to in the beginning. So just like Angie, I'm still working that out. I like my job now because I don't work too much. It gives me plenty of time on the side to kind of do those endeavors and work on, but the plan was to work on sets, but there's not much of that happening now. But yeah, to kind of think about what I might want to do next. This gave me plenty of time to work on the stop motion for Doom this year, because that was not happening before. And then when I finally got the time, I was like, all right, here we go. But yeah, no, it's a balance set. I mean, I haven't hit at all, but yeah,
it's definitely something that I continue to work on because I do not have the balance down yet either. Which I think is important to talk about, because sometimes we can look like these such put together people, and Blake just came out with this amazing music video today, and you know, he cleans pools, and that's okay. Like, it's okay to have a day job. It's okay to not be on every single set, which is something that I've had to learn. And consciously teach myself, like, it's okay to not do everything. You have to do what makes you happy. Which enough about me.
No, but yeah, that's spot on. That's spot on.
Yeah.
It's when you go to college, you're being told by all these different people that have made it, like, oh, if you want to make it in the screenwriting industry, you have to write every single day for the rest of your life. You have to give up all of your relationships, give up your kids, give up your girlfriend or boyfriend, and move to LA, and that's it. And it's like, oh, hold up. Maybe there's a middle ground. And that's the struggle, is finding that middle ground.
Yeah, and I think you guys are pretty successfully your middle ground, finding what works for you guys. It's interesting that we brought up quarantine, because Angie, did your business exist before quarantine, or was that something that you discovered this year?
So my business didn't exist before quarantine. Like, when quarantine happened was right when I started my business. If it wasn't for the quarantine, I don't think I would be making ashtrays for like clay art right now.
Were you thinking about it by then?
What do you mean, like
had you already had the plan to do that beforehand?
No, so I lost all of my jobs when quarantine happened, and I had a lot of time at home, and I didn't have an ashtray. Well, I had an ashtray, but it had like a hole in the bottom, so it kind of sucked. And I wanted to make myself an ashtray. I had this like leftover clay, so.
Oh, that's sick.
That is
and then I
super
posted it on Instagram, and everyone liked it, so I just kept making them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, you kill it at that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the stuff that you create, I'm just like every time I'm like, how do you do this? Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Really, really great work, Angie, over at Earth Honey Art. Make sure you guys check out her Instagram. It's great. And yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting in line for my ashtray also. So everyone get in line behind me. So Blake, your music video just premiered earlier today.
Yes, at 3:00. Thank you.
Yes. What was some of your inspiration behind the music video?
Eraserhead. That was the main inspiration. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. When the band had pitched the idea of it, I immediately thought of the aesthetic of Eraserhead, and while we didn't really want to take it exactly, I just love the mid-grays that David Lynch uses in that movie, because it's a lot of there's really not a lot of brights, there's not a lot of darks, there's a lot of middle neutral gray, and just the look of that, the feel of that, specifically even the opening, or not the opening, the poster where the light's going through his fizzy hair, and I thought, that could be George. Let's make George that. But yeah, that's really where we got kind of the jumping off point. It didn't end up exactly in that realm, but I feel like it's more of the tone of Eraserhead than it is the look that we kind of landed on. But really that, and then when we were going over what we wanted to actually make the music video about, and the grossness of it, then I was like, okay, it's got to be black and white. It's got to have all this stuff in it. So yeah, really much Eraserhead in that dark kind of, not scary, but it's more just unsettling in the way that it's filmed is kind of what we were shooting for. Yes, we landed kind of somewhere in there, I think.
Yeah. Very cool. I think it comes across very clearly. That's when I got a little sneak peek from Tiffany. She showed all of the board members a couple days ago, and I was like, "This is Eraserhead, right? This is Lynch."
That's awesome.
So that's cool. It definitely comes through. That's very cool.
Thank you.
Sharlene, your turn. I have a question for you. Did you ever plan on becoming an educator, or is that something that just happened this year?
Yeah, it was completely unplanned. I fell into it only because I wanted so I had graduated from UNLV in December 2019, but I still like didn't really feel fulfilled in terms of like learning design, and I really wanted to kind of experience just being in a workshop more. So I had applied to IFA over in Paris, which is a fashion school over there, to really learn like just like the fundamentals, the foundation, and just like being in like one of like the fashion capitals. Like I really just wanted that experience. So I was set to leave for that in September, end of September, October-ish, like this year. So like during the summer, I had gotten like a summer job. I was planning to hopefully make as much money as I can before heading out there. But then obviously coronavirus kind of changed all of that. But before I had left, I wanted some sort of like some form of job security while I was over there. And the easiest way to do that, especially like as an American citizen, I guess, is teaching. So I first started teaching English, but then through that, I saw that there was like this new platform that I had been seeing called OutSchool, and it's just a platform for kids where you can teach anything you want, basically, as long as you're passionate about it, and you obviously get your courses approved. But I started on that, and then that just sort of like kind of took off for a little bit when I started in June, I believe, and it was really cool. It was a really like cool chance for me to like express myself creatively, but also teach. So I really just accidentally, and now that it doesn't seem like the that like quarantine is really changing or things are changing, that's just sort of where I'm at now. But I think it's a really good accident, I think.
Yeah, a happy accident.
And I never would have thought like I would ever be a teacher, like in any case, but it's been pretty cool.
That's awesome. It seems like you guys have all had a similar theme of being locked in your house for a few months and having to do some self-reflection, which I think is helpful. I definitely did that also. So I'm glad that you guys are following what you guys are passionate about and being able to do what really is fulfilling to you guys. It's really amazing.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome. How about another question for all of you guys? So whoever wants to jump on it first. But what is some of your inspiration behind the art that you make? Just in general.
It's kind of selfish. It's a feeling you get after seeing something that you've made, like seeing like a certain set piece panned out, and it's kind of like, yeah, I did that, and someone else is gonna like that, and like it's kind of like one of the things that's just kind of like, okay, that inspires me to know that if it pans out, I really just want to be able to make things that people know that I can talk to, and really just like have a laugh about, or be like in Doom, it's just full of all these like ugh moments, and just like the inspiration behind that is like, I want this one ugh moment, and there's plenty that I can like look at someone and be like, wasn't that like ugh, and then they're like, yeah, that was totally nasty, and I think that's what inspires me the most. It's like it's one little thing working out right to get the right emotion, and being able to watch that back with someone, or talk about someone who had watched that, and get that kind of satisfaction that like, okay, I was instrumental in getting this good reaction out of someone, and I think that's it is kind of from a selfish place in a way, but at the same time, it's also I want to be able to help someone. I want to be able to give someone like the joy that I've gotten out of another music video or another short, or like kind of the same thing. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. For costume design, I think I take a lot of inspiration from like movies that have really moved me, or that really resonated with me. Like for example, for the concept work of the monster that I created for It lives in the cave in the woods. My first original concept was like, there's a character that's like an owl monster, and I pictured him to just be this like towering figure that was just kind of draped in all sorts of black textures, but with like the white like barn owl face. And that kind of was something that I took inspiration from Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away. Just like being like a really big fan of his, and just kind of taking elements of that, but then kind of recreating it and then kind of changing the mood and tone, because that was like something that really resonated with me, and I kind of just wanted to put that in like this film. So just like films that kind of like that really touched me in terms of like design, or that I thought looked really, really cool, but just kind of reworking it and trying to do my like own original take on stuff like that. And just kind of like what Blake was saying was just like getting that emotion and having it resonate, basically.
Hey, you did a great job on that. The costumes in It Lives in a Cave look fantastic.
Yes, they
Thank
do.
you so much. Period pieces, I feel like that was my first period piece ever, and there was a lot of challenges, and I feel like there still are. It's all a learning experience for me, though. But thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, looks great.
Definitely. I agree with you guys. I think I take inspiration from like everything, from like all different kinds of art, from different films, from music, from like TikTok, Instagram. I'll just see something and it'll inspire me with like different images or words that resonate with me. And but there's like a couple of artists that I really like on Instagram, and like a couple of stop motion people on YouTube, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
That's awesome.
It's always interesting to know like what drives some of my friends and some of the best artists I know. What drives them? It's nice to know sometimes. So Angie, I have a question for you. You do a lot of custom art pieces. Do you ever make art for yourself?
So that's pretty funny. I mean, I used to make art for myself, just to like make art. When quarantine started, I made 2 ashtrays for myself. I sold one to a friend, so I still have the first one that I ever made. And then I started doing custom orders for everyone. So now I'm just doing custom orders until the end of the holiday season. I think I'm going to stop taking custom orders, and I'm going to focus more on making stuff for myself and trying to figure out my style and my niche, because I haven't really given myself any time to do that. I've just been like making everybody else's ideas, which is really cool. I like making the custom orders, but I want to figure out what my style is.
That's cool. So everyone better get your custom order in now before it's too late. Get that Christmas present in now, because you never know. So I have a question for Sharlene. I wanted to ask you about a little bit more about your costume work in film. Like, how do you decide on like a character's style?
That is a good question. I feel like it really depends on the director that I'm working with. Because I obviously like will read a script and read into each character and kind of try to read between the lines and try to visualize everything down to the details. Like what kind of earrings do they have on, or do they have their nails painted? Like, do they have tattoos? Do they have piercings? Like, just taking into account all of the things that happen in a script, and just my first kind of like impression of the character and kind of building off that. But also with the people I collaborate with, I've worked with some directors that have like every little detail kind of mapped out that they visualize for each character, which is also really cool for me because it's cool to see sort of the thought process behind all that. But I've also worked with other directors who kind of have given me free reign, where they'll give me the script and they'll just say like, shoot, like just give me all of your ideas and we can just build from there. So it really depends on what project and sort of what we're trying to accomplish with telling the overall story. And I feel like that really just has a big part of it is just having it all be organic. So whether it's working with someone that's very detail oriented and knows exactly what they want per character, or the opposite, I feel like it really depends. But it really is just like reading between the lines and kind of, just visualizing what that character would do, even in situations that's not written in the script, if that makes sense, and building that stuff from there. Yeah.
That's so cool that you're so detail oriented. I love it. I might hit you up for a project actually. We'll call for another day. Okay, so question for Blake. Sorry, not to make you nervous or anything, but keep you in suspense. So Blake, you co-host 2 podcasts. How and why did you start 2 podcasts?
Am I back?
I lost you for a second. Did
Am
you
I
hear
back?
my question?
Yeah, no, I didn't hear the end of it. Sorry.
Okay. How and why did you start your podcast?
So I live with like 7 other people, so that's probably why the internet cuts out a couple times. So I started them because so it started with Video Game Sexy. I had a friend that I would go to sushi sometimes, and we would talk all video games all the time, and I'd be like, this is the only person that I know that I can just talk to video games all day with. And then I'm like, let's do a podcast, because this would be fun, and I like talking about it. And so we started that, and as we were doing that, I realized, I'd want to talk about movies because there's one other friend that I go to dinner with sometimes, and we talk about movies. And obviously I have so many people I can talk with movies about, but I've known them since so long. And so then we got the dream teams together essentially for both podcasts. And we just got all the gear together and just kind of figured out times at work, and now we're doing them remotely because things are getting bad again. But so I just started them because I wanted to talk with my friends about certain things, and now it's just kind of, in a way, a challenge to myself to also dig a little deeper into what I consume as far as any type of media as I watch or play, and because there is a lot to think about, a lot to talk about, and going into Video Game Sexy is a little bit more casual, but Dinner with a Movie, I definitely come out with a much bigger appreciation for what we were talking about, and oftentimes it's things I didn't even know. So that's what I initially started it just because I wanted to talk, and now I'm coming out of it and I'm like, I'm doing this because I'm learning a lot about this stuff that I normally will consume and would have no idea what I'm getting out of it. But now I'm kind of forcing myself, all right, you got to talk about it this week, so you got to write something about it. So I'm like, all right, here we go. Yeah. That's
cool. Yeah. I recently listened to a couple of your Dinner with a Movie episodes, and I was listening to the Coco episode while I was at work, and I swear I started crying at work because I was like, oh no. So Brandon, if you're watching, if you see this, I love you. I miss you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to just give him a big hug because Brandon cried a little bit while talking about Coco.
He started breaking down a little, and we were like, oh man, no, Brandon.
Yeah, but it was really good. It's a really good discussion about Coco and some really other great movies
Thank
that you guys talk about. Yeah. So also let me know if you need a guest.
Yes.
I love talking
to we're planning on having more guests on, and I know everyone around me has a movie because we want to bring on guests to talk. We've only had one guest, and she wanted to talk about Little Miss Sunshine. So we want our guests to come on to talk about the movie they want to talk about. And I know we're going to bring Noah on eventually, and he's going to talk about Tremors. I know he's going to talk about Tremors. So yeah, we'll definitely hit you up when figure out our schedules and stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. I will look out for that Tremors episode. I will be eagerly awaiting.
I don't want to. Tiffany's gonna be mad at me. We had Tiffany on as a guest. She was on as well. I don't want her to be mad at me. We talked about Karate Kid.
He's a real guest.
Yes. Yeah, it felt more like in the studio that time. That's why.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Cool. It's so cool that you guys have a podcast.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
A couple of them.
I'd say anyone that wants to do it, there's already 1 million. Just go do it. This is a podcast right now.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, pretty much.
There's never too many opinions on the internet, no matter how radical they are.
Yes, exactly. There's always room for more opinions, especially your guys's. I love hearing your guys' opinions about things. I could talk to you guys for hours. But we don't have that much time. So I will ask the three of you guys another question for all three of you, and then we will go on to some audience questions. So this one might be a little harder, so I hope it doesn't rub any of you guys the wrong way or anything. But I know it's a hard question, and I would have a hard time answering it too, so no pressure. But how would you personally define success for yourself? Like, would you consider yourself successful right now?
Yes. I think I am very successful, and from what I'm hearing with Sharlene and Angie, I think we're all successful right now. And Sam, you are too.
Yes. I would agree.
I think success has nothing to do with the amount that you're getting. I don't think it has anything to do with what you're getting. I think it has to do with, well, number one, I think success is you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself and the things that you need to take care of. That's always number one. But once you're there, which is harder for some than others, and that's where a lot of passion projects or people who want to go into art, it's kind of, some people are easier, like, oh, I can go to college because my parents are paying for it, and the others are like, oh, I can't. So, and once you're able to get to a point where you're okay with that, the success comes from finding something that you know you're getting something out of. It doesn't matter how small that is or even what it is. If you're getting something out of, I don't know, just watching 12 hours of TV a day, and at the end of the day you're genuinely satisfied from that, that is success to me. I don't think there's anything more to it, and I think that's where it's really, especially with us trying to find that balance, is like, success is not being on sets 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. If that's what you love, that's your success. But if that's not, then you're unsuccessful if you're at the end of the week being like, man, I hate my life. So yeah, I think that's the hard part, is finding that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how to top that answer, because that was just like, that's beautiful.
Yes.
But I mean, I think that's actually something I really needed to hear, because I feel like personally, and I think maybe a lot of artists also probably feel this way, where like you kind of never really feel satisfied, especially if you create something. There's always things afterwards where you're kind of like, I could have done that better, or, you know, I could have improved in this way. It's really easy to sort of like beat yourself up mentally like that. So I think that is a good reminder of like, success is no matter like how big or how small our success is, regardless. So I thought you said that, like, I thought that was a really great answer, because before you said all that, I was kind of thinking like, I personally like don't feel it sometimes, but then I think that is just sometimes like that like toxic mentality that I feel like artists, or just people in general, like get into, especially like with all of the media that we consume now. It's really easy to compare yourself to other people's successes, and it's easy to feel sort of like just beat down at times. But I thought that was like a really great answer, and actually yeah, like I needed to hear that. I think. So,
I definitely agree with Charlene. I needed to hear that as well because I was also going to say that sometimes I don't feel like I'm successful because of, like Charlene said, the media that we consume, like on Instagram. I mean, that's what social media is made for you to compare yourself to people and to be addicted to it. And I think that I do feel that way sometimes, but what Blake said really does make sense. We are successful. We're all successful. We're happy with what we're doing, and we're doing it, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys are all successful. No matter what anyone else says, if they say you're not, I will fight them personally.
And I think one thing that is also tough is you can be very successful while actively failing. I think that's a thing that is also tough because if you're acting like, I mean, success needs to be something you need to control. Like you can control. Like if my success is, I am only going to be successful if everybody in the world watches my music video and loves it. Never, ever you can be successful. But if you're successful is, I'm going to make a music video that I'm proud of or that I like, that's success. And even if by the end of the day you're not proud of it, you were actively working towards something that you're proud of. And you could be successful while you're failing. And that's pretty tough to find in the moment because it's much easier said than done after the fact. But yeah, I don't think it's easy to figure that out while you're going through it. And it is a very privileged thing to say I'm successful because I'm failing right now because I have a roof over my head, I have food on the table. It is a privileged thing to say that you could be successful when you're failing when I really don't have any huge problems right now. It's not like I'm,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think it's definitely important to take a moment sometimes and self-reflect and think about like where you were a year ago and compare that to now. And for me, I never imagined I would be in this position a year ago. And it's amazing. I get to talk to the coolest people, the most talented people I know, and it's really amazing, honestly.
Wow, you're killing it.
Yeah, this community is really, really cool. I'm so excited to see what you guys keep doing as the years go on.
Yeah. I'm doing this until I die. We'll see.
I feel like this is what artists need. They need a community like this.
Yeah.
There's no gatekeeping. We're just like talking openly about our experiences.
Yeah, that's honestly how it happened. Because just a little bit about me. If we could talk about me for a second. Started because I approached the other board members and I was like, do you guys ever feel lonely? And they were like, yes. And then all of this happened. That's how Eccentric Artists started, was just because we were all craving this community, but didn't know where to get it or how to do it or anything like that. So hopefully, by doing this, it makes it a little bit easier for people, fresh out of college or, not really sure what they're doing, or because I hardly know what I'm doing, but, we're here, we're surviving, and people seem to like it. So enough about me. Let's go to some audience questions. Okay, let's see. So this question is for Angie. It's from Keon. It says, how long have you been making clay art? Because you're good for no reason. Oh, sorry, you're good AF for no reason.
Well, thank you, Keon. You're amazing at what you do as well. I started I started messing with clay in like 2016. I was watching these claymation videos, and I was like, I'm gonna do claymation. And then I did like a couple of claymation videos and like fell off. But honestly, I didn't do like any classes for clay, or I didn't watch like any YouTube tutorial videos for clay. I just like started messing with clay, and I liked it. I wish I had a better answer, but I just started doing it, and yeah, I feel like if I did take classes, I would be a lot better. But I'm learning this way, and it was working out for me.
Nice. All right. Okay, this one's not a question, but it's a comment for all of you guys from Aaron Lockhart, and it says, "You guys all look beautiful." So thank you, Aaron. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your talk. Okay, another question for Angie, very popular. This one's from Daniel. I don't know if you know him or not, but Daniel is Angie's boyfriend. Sorry, everyone, for being out of that joke. But anyway, when will you make a claymation movie about talking ashtrays?
Oh my god. I don't know. Let's get started on it right now.
Is this something you guys had talked about before?
No. It's a good idea. Yeah, that's cool.
You gotta make it happen now.
I know. He's the idea guy. He's ideas.
Yeah.
Shout out to Daniel.
Shout out to Daniel. I know you're helping with some of the art over there, so shout out to Daniel. Okay, question for Sharlene. This one's from I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but the question's not from Jem, from someone else. Question for Sharlene. Are there any similarities between teaching and filmmaking?
I think in some ways there are. Not directly, but like with teaching online, like virtually, and getting like the kids' attention sometimes, I feel kind of like, you know, when you watch like Blue's Clues or any of those kid shows and they're just like extra animated and there's like production and stuff. It's kind of the same way for me, because when I would have my classroom, I'd have to have like a really colorful background, so that would be like the set design, I guess, and I have my little webcam to like capture it all. So I guess that's like one direct way. Like, I guess it is kind of like filmmaking. It is in a way like virtually teaching, and the way that I do it throughout school is like partly entertainment. Obviously still like teaching like what patterns are and things that are fashion related, but keeping it entertaining. And I feel like having that structure definitely is what's similar to filmmaking for sure.
Cool. That's really interesting. But you know, you're using your degree.
Charlene, do you ever practice your costume designing by thinking, all right, what would today's Charlene teacher wear, and then think about what's the exact costume for that?
To be completely honest with you, I just throw on a shirt and then like I always keep my pajama pants on. Like
that's the way to do it. Honestly, if I could show up to set like that, I would. All right.
Charlene, you have the personality for that. I feel like you're like made to teach. Like,
I think so.
So sweet.
That's so sweet. I definitely think like the kids make it interesting. They're super smart. So I feel like you have to like be able to like adapt to that and like their smart remarks. I think I was teaching about Coco Chanel, and a 5-year-old like she goes like, I have a question, and I was like, yes, and she goes, did Coco Chanel design the uniforms for Nazis? And I was just like, wasn't prepared for that question. Like,
Whoa.
I know it was pretty heavy, and like you just kind of have to like think on your feet, I guess. Like when you're teaching, especially like kids online are really really smart. Like they have Google and YouTube. So. But yeah,
That's crazy. All right. Let's see. Question for Blake. It looks like it's a multi-parter, so
Let's do it.
you can tackle however much of this you would like. The question is, what was your budget for the music video? What was the hardest part of making the video? What was your favorite part of making the music video? And do you have any plans for a new project?
I cannot remember the budget. Tiffany was handling the budget, and I would send her receipts, and every once in a while she would send me a text back and say, "Are you sure you need that?" And then I'll think, I must be going close to budget on this part of this production. She made an amazing spreadsheet. I cannot remember what the budget was. Very, very, very low. There were certain amounts where Brandon will just come in and be like, "I'm not telling you how much I paid for this bunch here, but I paid for it, and you're not giving me any money for it." So it's up in like a couple thousand, I think, maybe a little higher, maybe like 3,000 or so. So it's probably up in that area. There was a lot of set pieces that just required things, because a lot of things you can cut corners, but you got to have stuff to shoot rain on someone, and you got to get all the clay stuff. It was really the clay stuff that just started adding up, and all the stop motion that just hits you hard because you think you're done with production, and then you realize you got 6 more months of stop motion to do, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part? Stop motion by a mile. It was not because the stop motion was exactly difficult, even though it was the motivation of doing that, because we didn't have a schedule, and it was just set up in my house. So I was just like, Rose, our AD, had asked, "Okay, do you want me to schedule these days?" I'm like, "No, we got this." Then later I was like, I have not done anything, and I should be doing stuff on this. And it was so hard to just be like, there's so many small things. Like, you got to build the set, you got to plan out the moves, you got to build the figurines. Our rat figures are actually sculpted over Duke Kaboom figurines from Toy Story 4. And so we took so long finding the right place. It was really just getting all the tiny bits that you need for all 3 of those stop motion pieces that we did, and then putting them in a schedule, and then telling myself as I'm stuck in my house, okay, you got video games here, but you also got your stop motion to do. So let's go do that a couple of bits a day. And like I said, I don't think it would have gotten done with stop motion. Favorite part has to be the water scenes where we had George. Dude, that was insane. We had cockroaches all over. We had Noah there as a bug wrangler, but we quickly learned that one bug wrangler for all those bugs was not enough to reset as quick as we needed. George was sitting there in freezing cold water. Brandon dug a whole ditch in his backyard to fill with water. I had my pants up to my thighs, and I was standing in the water with like the camera over George, and at one point I was like, all right, fuck it, no, I'm gonna get the bugs, and I started grabbing the cockroaches and putting them where I needed them, and that was insane. It was great. It's always the really tough parts that are a lot of fun. So I'd say that was that. Yeah. Long answer to a long question.
Would you ever do stop motion again? After this experience?
Yes, I actually, Eccentric Artists is doing a stop motion thing this month for their film challenge. So I'm gonna try to do it then. I'm gonna try to do a small one then. And I spent money on Dragon Frame, so I better do it because I have the program now, and I should take advantage of it.
Dragon Frame is a lot easier.
Oh yeah, way easier.
It turned out awesome.
Thank you so much.
That music video is so sick. I watched it just before this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was a blast to shoot. Thank you.
All right. I think that is about all we have time for. Let me double check with my superiors in the studio. Okay, so the boss lady upstairs said that I can do one more question. So let's do like a lightning round question for each of you guys. So, Angie, are there any other mediums of art that you'd like to try out?
I'd like to get more into painting. Painting looks like it's a lot of fun. I mean, I've done a few paintings like here and there, not really good. So I'd like to get better at that.
Cool. All right. And then let's see. Sorry, I'm not very lightning on this, but Sharlene. So you mentioned that Spirited Away is one of your influences. Are there any other movies or directors that are like a big inspiration to you? Like something inspires you to do something you haven't done yet, maybe?
One of my favorite directors of all time is Wes Anderson, and I would love to do some sort of homage or kind of whimsical-esque Wes Anderson-y sort of thing. I haven't been able to yet, but that's something I would really love to do with costume.
Cool. That would be super cool. And Blake, this one is not a question. It just says, Blake, you're the best. Life won't be a knife without... Wait, life would be like a knife without you.
Life would be like a knife without me? Because I know who that came from.
So
that was Jim, certainly.
Yes. Okay. And okay, I have one super important question before we end for all of you guys. The question is Shrek 1 or Shrek 2?
2!
Ooh, 2.
I'm gonna go with 1. Oh, geez.
Let go with 1.
Sorry, I'm 1 too.
2. Shrek 2 is better.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, guys.
Are we not getting into a heated argument about this? I feel like this is the proper way to get into a heated argument about this.
I mean, it is. It definitely is. There's some fighting words. But that is where we are going to wrap it up for now. So thank you to all 3 of you guys for being a part of the Q&A. So great to talk to you guys. I love all of you guys very much, and you're all very talented individuals. So don't say anything. Don't deny it. You are talented and the best, and I love you all. So don't try and deny it. Thank you again. Make sure to check out their work on the Eccentric Artists website. Also, check out their Instagrams, check out their websites. All of those links are on the Eccentric Artists website. And just a little bit of shameless self-promotion. Sorry, it has to be done. But the next Eccentric Artist event is our writing group, which will be tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. It's a Google Meet. The link is on Eccentric Artists. So we will be doing a writing group. It's really fun. You get to talk to people. You get to write and brainstorm. It's very casual. And then we also have a film club discussion, which is coming up on November 21st. We will be talking about the movie Tangerine, directed by Sean Baker, which is a very cool movie. Also very casual, just like this, talking about that movie. And just to reiterate, we are hosting a film challenge this month. The challenge is to use stop motion, animation, or puppetry to create a short. I personally have been working on some sock puppets, so look out for that short a little bit later. Yeah, and that is all I have. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you. Thank you so much.
much.
Yay! Thank you.